It may be interesting to recall and note that any time the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, visits President Donald Trump of the United States of America, US, something strange or new does occur in the Middle East, either starting a new war or a new attack tactic is being deployed into the existing theater of war. This historical timeline of bilateral meetings between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump directly maps the introduction of increasingly aggressive military tactics in the Middle East. To start with, it may be recalled that after their campaign meeting on July 26, 2024, Israel executed an unprecedented cyberkinetic supply chain attack on September 17 and 18, 2024, by remotely detonating booby-trapped Hezbollah pages and walkie-talkies, a strange military tactics that kept almost everybody in the world talking. And after Netanyahu's inaugural visit to the White House on February 4, 2025, a breakdown in ceasefire negotiations led to the total collapse of the January Gaza truce and a massive, renewed ground reinvasion by late February 2025 began, following consecutive strategic summits on July 7 to 9, 2025. Joint forces of the US military and the Israel Defense Forces executed a high-intensity, 12-day dynamic air campaign featuring.
We just decided to make this one of our plugins free because WordPress plugin directory does not permit us to sell our premium plugins, but only give us opportunity to advertise our premium plugins, and they demand that we must make our plugin or one of our plugins free, completely free for life. So we decided yesterday and this morning to submit one of our plugins that will be entirely free. It will also give many millions of WordPress users opportunity to test the efficiency, the effectiveness, the quality and the uniqueness of our plugins. And this is the list of the high quality of plugins. We currently have over 40 plugins that we are still doing the legal and technical documentation. We have only released 2. So we hope that before this week runs out, we are going to release more of these plugins. We have plugins to address a lot of marketing.
Software engineering and media firm Osizuwa Limited has announced the global release of its new server layer database utility, the Osizuwa Dynamic Autoload Optimizer, version 2.1.0, engineered as a premium, high-value must-use (MU) plugin. The software addresses one of the most widespread yet invisible performance bottlenecks plaguing modern digital publishing: the accumulation of orphan configuration data within the core WordPress database structure. The software targets large-scale web architectures, news networks, corporate platforms, and search engine optimization (SEO) agencies that suffer from unexplainable mobile lag, high bounce rates, and random server crashes during traffic spikes. While traditional web optimization tools focus on front-end patches like file caching, CDN integration, and image lazy loading, the Osizuwa engine targets the server-side database configuration layers where initial loading speeds are decided. Every standard page request on a WordPress site initializes a database query that automatically reads every option row tag for initialization and dumps it directly into the server's active RAM memory before web content or text grids can even render. This structural mechanism causes extreme back-end bloat over time. When web teams install, test, and subsequently delete heavy free software engineering and media firm Osizuwa Limited has launched a specialized software bundle designed to fix traffic loss, broken layouts, and revenue drops caused by traditional WordPress optimization tools. The new software, named the Osizuwa Site Optimizer and Search Engine Optimization Dominance Suite, specifically tagged Osizuwa Strict Consent Jail, JS, Image and Robots Text Site Optimizer, target high-traffic digital publishers, news platforms, television stations, and e-commerce agencies globally, as it may be interesting to know that modern websites face a difficult trade-off between loading speed and monetization, as standard performance plugins routinely speed up pages by aggressively blocking heavy scripts, which inadvertently disables legal cookie consent banners, lowers ad viewability metrics, and blocks critical search engine index crawlers. The newly introduced server-level solution is engineered specifically to eliminate mobile layout delays, solve unused JavaScript bottlenecks, and dramatically improve Google Core Web Vitals scores without disrupting digital advertising streams or heavy live stream media nodes. The system completely bypasses traditional caching limits by functioning as a zero-overhead must-use plugin ecosystem that operates directly at the core server level to run automatically before standard plugins or themes load. Abducted 40-year-old Omotsiri Syrian Ibori, née Ben, and her 7-year-old son, William Ibori Jr., have safely broken free from their captors yesterday evening after a 5 million naira ransom payment was delivered secretly to an anonymous drop-off location, completely shifting the narrative of a tragic daylight ambush by heavily armed gunmen that had originally plunged Ogara, the ancestral home of former Delta State Governor, Chief James Onanefe Ibori, into intense fear and tension, highlighting a terrifying surge in local insecurity, as this victim is the youngest widow of the respected Ibori family patriarch, retired soldier, and former Unubrogodo of Oharefe, High Chief William Boyi Agbekanya Ibori, who was born on February 2, 1942, and passed away from a heart attack at age 76 on July 11, 2018, leaving behind his wives, Mrs. Elizabeth and Omotsiri Syrian Ibori, alongside 9 children and 18 grandchildren, while her father, Chief Lucky Ben, recently confirmed exclusively to Osasuwakonedo News Media that his daughter is currently 40 years old, which clarifies historical timelines and corrects past social media rumors by establishing that she was approximately 32 years old when her high-profile traditional wedding ceremony was celebrated in Oharefe on Saturday, March 17, 2018. Tragic daylight abduction of 40-year-old Omotsiri Syrian Ibori, née Ben, and her 7-year-old son, William Ibori Jr., by heavily armed gunmen has plunged Ogara, the ancestral home of former Delta State Governor, Chief James Onanefe Ibori, into intense fear and tension, highlighting a terrifying surge in local insecurity, as this victim is the youngest widow of the respected Ibori family patriarch, retired soldier, and former Unubrogodo of Oharefe, High Chief William Boyi Agbekanya Ibori, who was born on February 2, 1942, and passed away from a heart attack at age 76 on July 11, 2018, leaving behind his wives, Mrs. Elizabeth and Omotsiri Syrian Ibori, alongside 9 children and 18 grandchildren, while her father, Chief Lucky Ben, recently confirmed exclusively to Osasuwakonedo News Media that his daughter is currently 40 years old, which clarifies historical timelines and corrects past social media rumors by establishing that she was approximately 32 years old when her high-profile traditional wedding ceremony was celebrated in Oharefe on Saturday, March 17, 2018, just 4 months before her husband's demise, meaning this high-profile abduction has severely worsened local anxiety by coming on the heels of another recent violent incident in Ogara where local Africa Network for Environment and Economic Justice, ANEJ, has expressed deep concern over the acquittal of former Nigerian Minister of Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Dizani Alison Madueke, by a United Kingdom court, describing the verdict as a troubling moment for the global fight against corruption, illicit financial flows IFFs, and impunity, a statement that follows the June 17, 2026, ruling at the Southwark Crown Court in London, where a jury cleared Alison Madueke of all 6 bribery charges brought against her by the UK's National Crime Agency, NCA, after a 5-month trial and 46 hours of deliberation, while her co-defendants, oil executive, Olatimbo Oyinde and her brother, Doya Gama, were also acquitted, bringing a dramatic end to a saga that began more than a decade ago, a development that prompted ANEJ to take immediate action today, June 23, 2026, by launching a critical two-day capacity-building workshop in Abuja in collaboration with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, a body domiciled within the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN and Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering, SQML, an arm of the EFCC to aggressively equip civil society organizations, CSOs with the necessary tools to track. Edo State Governor, Monday Okpebholo has said the state government will set up special court for criminal proceedings in line with the existing laws for suspected secret cult members and kidnappers to be conducted within 2 or 3 weeks maximum, and if anyone is found guilty and sentenced to death accordingly, he will sign the death warrant and bring the condemned criminal or criminals to popular Ring Road area in Benin City for public execution so that such action will serve as deterrent to others. The governor, who probably have a good working relationship with one of the former governors of the state that started the recent execution of condemned criminals, Adams Oshiomhole, made this known on Thursday when he visited the headquarters of the Edo State Command of the Nigeria Police Force, wherein some suspected kidnappers allegedly behind the shooting and abduction of a woman at a popular vegetable market along Airport Road in Benin City last Sunday were paraded before the governor and the press. According to the governor, "I will set up a special court to try cultists and kidnappers within 2 or 3 weeks, and if found guilty, I would have no regret to sign their warrants. They would be executed at the Ring Road for others to learn a lesson. Don't take my simplicity for granted." For the record, the last time death warrant was signed and condemned criminals executed in Edo State took place around 6 a.m. on December 23, 2016, few weeks after the then governor of Edo State. It was a double victory for the Nigerian North American diaspora community last week as the Ugola and Omoregi families celebrated 2 standout scholars, Miss Ajiroghene Miracle Ugola at York University and Miss Ivie Marianne Omoregi, who studied at Brock University, graduating with first-class honors from the top Canadian universities, as the milestone achievements were anchored by a massive cross-border comrades reunion party that drew family, professionals, and community leaders from across Canada and the United States. The academic festivities officially commenced on June 12, 2026, at the York University graduation ceremonies in Toronto, where Miss Ajiroghene Miracle Ugola achieved a monumental milestone by graduating with first-class honors in computer science. Miss Ajiroghene Miracle Ugola, daughter of prominent human rights activist, Reverend David Ugola, and diaspora figure, Mrs. Ngozi Ugola, clinched first-class honors in computer science. Her feat was celebrated by attendees as a masterclass in determination, intellectual grit, and a shining example for women in STEM fields. Mrs. Ngozi Ugola said her daughter, Ajiroghene's outstanding degree is the culmination of years of intense dedication, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to excellence. Friends and family at the reunion party described the scholar as exceptionally resilient, focused. Barely 48 hours after a serving police officer on May 25, 2026 at Uelu area of Agida quarters in Benin City tear gas a resident to death, Matthew Akubo, a tricycle rider who is also said to be an ex-police officer of an elderly age. A more devastating tragedy was apparently averted on May 27, 2026 at the Samuel Ogbomudia Stadium during the 2026 Children's Day celebration, when some security operatives used pepper spray on school children who came for the celebration, an action capable of causing death, but the chief medical director, Edo Specialist Hospital, Dr. Antonia Njoku, denied and dismissed the claims that about 5 children died as a result of the incident, and the Edo command of the Nigeria Police Force in a press statement failed to state if there was any death casualty or not, but stated that 4 persons, including the seller of the pepper spray chemical substance, have been arrested and detained in connection with the Children's Day incident, adding that the policeman who caused the death of the tricycle rider has been in detention waiting to be arraigned for possible act of murder. Our research study shows that a less lethal weapon of chemical substances like tear gas and pepper spray may be seen as an act of deliberate murder or attempted murder if used on a closed range, enclosed environment like hall, big or small, because the chemical substances from are assessed. Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Umar Zulum may have given a clearer picture and addressed some fundamental issues in the press release issued by the Nigerian Army on Saturday that caused mixed reactions among members of the public, especially Borno youths under the umbrella body of Borno South Youth Alliance. Bossia, who had condemned the military for saying in the press release that its men rescued 360 out of the 416 women and children held hostage by the Boko Haram terrorists based on intelligence-driven efforts that made the terrorists to flee and abandon their victims upon citing the superior power of the men of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, AFN, with some of the terrorists arrested, but the state governor, Babagana Zulum, while speaking during his assessment visit to Pulka community on Monday, said 434 victims out of the total numbers of people kidnapped early this year in Ngosh community by the Boko Haram terrorists have regained freedom, specifically stating that 357 captives walked free in the latest coordinated effort. Other captives have been released in phases over the preceding months, bringing the total number of freed captives to 434. We had reported that youths in Borno State under the umbrella body of Borno South Youth Alliance, Bossia has insisted that the federal government of Nigeria, youths in Borno State under the umbrella body of Borno South Youth Alliance, Bossia has insisted that the federal government of Nigeria under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did nothing to secure the release of the 416 women and children held hostage by Boko Haram terrorists for more than 90 days. They were taken into the bush since March 2026. Also, the youth group dismissed and rejected the report of the Nigerian army, who had alleged that its men rescued 360 out of the 416 people held hostage through intelligence-driven efforts, saying they have an audio record of the conversation they had with the Boko Haram terrorists on Friday, June 5, 2026, before the Boko Haram terrorists decided to release the captives willingly, adding, if they paid ransom, they should come out and tell Nigerians, which we have the full details if ransoms was paid or not, as Senator Ali Ndume automatically started thanking President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Is there something Nigerians need to know that is hidden? It may be recalled that we have reported that barely a day after President Donald Trump of the United States of America, the USA announced the killing of Abu Bilal al-Minuki, the second in command of the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, ISIS, in a joint operation with Nigeria soldiers in Borno State. A new video of the abducted 416 women. Lebanon is a sovereign country that has been a founding member of the United Nations since 1945, but on several occasions, Israel has made an attempt to be in control of some areas of the sovereign nation. Lebanon, which is a small country of approximately 10,500 square kilometers, out of which about 3,000 square kilometers are perhaps currently under the control and capture of Israeli armed forces since the State of Israel began the War of Redemption in 2025, a military operation targeting Hezbollah fighters in Lebanon, which the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, in a nationwide video broadcast on Sunday, said, over 8,000 Hezbollah fighters have been killed, ordered Israeli troops to expand more into Lebanon, and commended men and women of the Israel Defense Forces of retaking or recapturing Beaufort, a 900-year-old castle city in Lebanon that perched on a high ridge overlooking the Litani River Valley with a good tactical and strategic military viewpoint over southern Lebanon, the western Bekaa Valley and northern Israel. The highly valued military fortress was previously occupied by Israel between 1982 and year 2000, and its reoccupation by Israel on Saturday night has triggered emergency United Nations Security Council meeting. According to the French Foreign Minister, Jean-Noël Barrot, France has called for emergency UN information from the Office of the Special Advisor to the Nigerian President. Bayo Onanuga has shown apparent strong indications that the federal government under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu may use the act of trumped-up allegation to harass, intimidate, arrest and detain one of the president anti-2027 re-election activists who is also the president and founder of the Ratel movements, Martins Vincent Otts aka Ibori Gunmen, following a widely circulated acclaimed leaked telephone voice record of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu wherein the president was portrayed to have made statements capable of causing anarchy in the country, instigating and inciting the people against the president in a manner that can collapse the government and cause uncontrollable deaths. This, the presidential spokesperson, Bayo Onanuga, seems to have wrongly or deliberately attributed the dissemination of the acclaimed leaked telephone voice record to Ibori Gunmen in a tweet the presidential spokesperson issued via X social media platform at about 11 a.m. on Wednesday morning, which, the presidential spokesperson said, this VDM needs to face the weight of the law for being the conveyor and disseminator of a fake audio of President Tinubu. This is a clear case of an egregious abuse of the social media platform. A careful study of some news media reports over the acclaimed leaked telephone audio record shows some of the media attributed the dissemination.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.